Grab your notes. We're going to continue in the series, No Hope. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about how big a word hope is. Sometimes hope is used as just wishful thinking. Sometimes hope is used as a faithful expectation. How we use it matters. The big idea of the series Casey gave us last week, let's go back over it. My faith is anchored in my hope, and my hope is in a resurrected Jesus. Would you write that down? My faith is anchored in my hope, and my hope in a resurrected Jesus. You can hope for lots of things, but to have faith, to have faithful expectation, which is the biblical definition of hope, is another. So write this in. Here's the big idea for today. Hope is only as good as the one you put your trust in. Hope is only as good as the one you put your trust in. And right under that in your notes, would you write on the left side of your page, wishful thinking, and then write on the right side of your page, faithful expectation, and draw a line between the two, because we use hope in a lot of different ways. I have carried for years, 5 years now, a debit card. I don't have a credit card. I don't handle them well. So I have to have money in the account for a debit card to work. And you may not be able to see this from here, but this is a Dallas Cowboy debit card. Now, why is that? Because my second favorite team is the Chiefs, and my favorite team, because of where I'm from, is the Cowboys. Now, for the last 5 years, which is how long I've had this card, every time I use it to pay for lunch, people here in Kansas City have said to me, dude, you need to get a real team. Or, dude, there's not much hope for those guys. Or, wow, they used to be great. You know what they're saying to me this year? You know what they're saying this year? How about them Cowboys? I mean, all of a sudden, the hope has gone way up. Seriously, expecting the Cowboys to do well the last 5 years would have been wishful thinking. Wasn't going to happen. Players weren't there. Coaching wasn't there. Talent wasn't there. Expecting them to do well this year, it's a little bit different thing. Sometimes our hope is wishful thinking. Kansas has the second highest number of lightning strikes of any state in the United States. Are you aware of that? Second only to Florida, which has got, because of its Gulf weather, some interesting things. Second, we like to think, I hope I could win the Kansas lottery. You know, maybe I'll throw $1 at that, or $5 at that, or $10. Yeah, but wouldn't that be awesome? Boy, that'd be awesome. What great wishful thinking. You know what your odds are of winning the Kansas lottery, or the Missouri lottery, or the Florida lottery? You know what it is? Less than your odds of being struck by lightning. You have a greater statistical chance of winning a big jackpot. You have a greater chance of being struck by lightning. It is wishful thinking. So our hope is no better than what we put our faith in. Our hope is no stronger than the one whom we trust. My kids and I have had an interesting experience the last few months. Our daughter and son-in-law and their 2 boys have lived in Kansas City for years. But for 8 years, my wife has prayed for our son and daughter-in-law and their 4 children to move from Charlotte to Kansas City. They did that 3 months ago, which is awesome. They moved into our house. We downsized last December to get a quieter, cozier, tighter, easy to take care of place. And literally, my 33-year-old son, my 31-year-old daughter-in-law, their 8-year-old twins, their 3-year-old preschooler, and their 1-year-old baby have moved into our space. It's not quiet. It's not neat and tidy. It's very busy, and I love it. I love it. I've developed a hope. When they first got here 3 months ago, our 1-year-old granddaughter barely knew me. I had seen her twice in her life. So I thought, I'm going to win her over. And I noticed that she loves this kids show called Paw Patrol. Now, those of you without small kids may not know Paw Patrol, so let me give it to you. Paw Patrol is a cartoon that's about 6 rescue dogs who always do the right thing, and it always has a moral meaning in the show. It's a great show for little kids. And when she'd walk in the room and her older brothers and sister were watching Paw Patrol, she'd just be mesmerized. So I made a plan. I decided that every time she walked in the room, I'd pick up the clicker, turn on the TV, and turn on Paw Patrol and do this. And it didn't take her long to learn that if she'll sit in Papa's lap, I'll put on Paw Patrol. She now walks into the room, sees me sitting there and says, Paw-Pole, Paw-Pole, which is not my name, that's Paw Patrol. And she climbs up in my lap and will sit for 20 and 30 minutes every morning and 20 and 30 minutes every evening. Why does she sit there? Part of it's Paw Patrol. Part of it, she has put her trust in Papa. She's become comfortable in that lap. I want to suggest to you today that we're just going to have a conversation more than a teaching. I want us to talk through what are we putting our hope in for salvation. And this is why this is a big deal to me. I've discovered after 40 years of doing this that some people that have been in church all of their lives still have this messed up in their heads. That some people who think heaven is absolutely theirs are actually trusting the wrong thing to get there. So let's talk through the sources of hope for salvation. Our hope's only as good as the one we put our trust in. I love hanging out in places where people do not know Jesus yet. I absolutely love hanging out with people that are far from God and seeing if they can come to know Him. And one of the places I hang out, I will often ask this question. Hey, if there is a heaven, why do you think you'll make it? If there is a heaven, why do you think you'll get in? And the 3 answers I hear the most are the 3 I'm about to give you. Would you write them down? First, I'm a good person. I'm a good person. Secondly, I have done some good things and not very many bad things, they always add. And thirdly, well, I believe you can believe anything as long as you believe something. All paths go to heaven. I'm a good person. I've done good things. And hey, I believe in God some way. And if you believe in God some way, that's good enough. You're going to get to heaven. Now, next to those 3, I want you to write the phrase politically correct. Because right now, those are all 3 politically correct answers. All people are the same. We're generally good. That's the political correctness of our day. All of us do some good things and a few bad things, but hopefully the good outweighs the bad. That's the political correctness of the day. And the biggest one, it doesn't matter what you believe, just believe something. In fact, that goes clear down to, well, that may be right for you, but that doesn't mean it's right for me. We've now let people design their own individual rules of right and wrong. We've let people design their own way to get to heaven because all paths go to heaven. That's politically correct. Here's the struggle. When it comes to salvation, I don't care about being politically correct. I'd like to be biblically correct. Because at the end of the day, y'all can't vote me into heaven. So here's what I want you to write down. None of those expressions are BC, which is biblically correct. And I want us to look at each one of them because I can guarantee you there's some of us in this room trusting one of these to get us to heaven. First, good person. I'm a good person. I think I'll get to heaven on that. How good are you? Let's do this. Put heaven at the top of your notes. Just write it in somewhere. Your notes are not going to make sense today when we finish, I promise. Put heaven up there. Put hell down at the bottom. How close to heaven would you put Billy Graham based on the good person thing? How close would he be based on being a good person? I got him up pretty high. Where would you put Mother Teresa? Way at the top. I mean, woman spent her whole life serving people that nobody else served, right? Look at what Scripture says. Everyone has sinned and is far away from God's saving presence. Wow. So Billy Graham is not good enough to get there on his good things. Mother Teresa is not good enough to get there on her good things. Dan Sutherland doesn't have a chance to get there on his good things. We are far from God's saving presence. Good person won't get you there. Maybe good things will. If I just do more good than bad, if I'm kind enough and generous enough and help others enough. I love Walmart. My wife gave me last Christmas the best Christmas gift I've ever received. It was a gift card to Walmart. My philosophy of life is if Walmart doesn't have it, you don't need it. I mean, a gift card to Walmart, how good is that? You know, just turn you loose in the store and let you go get what you want. And I use my garage as a workshop where I work on a few things and do a few things. And at Walmart, you can buy 20 shop rags for $2. 20 shop rags. And when you pick them up, they're folded like washcloths, but they're real thin white material. And what I do is I use them to clean up messes. I've used one to take the grease off of my brakes when we redid those. I used one to get the oil spot out of the driveway, which, by the way, you don't use cat litter for. You use a product called Brake Clean. It will absolutely take oil up off your driveway. It's pretty cool. I use the rag for that. So what I have is I keep all the rags. And I have a pile of fresh, clean, unused rags. And I have a pile of used before rags, because if you're going to just get them dirty, why not use one that's dirty already, right? My wife walks out one day, and I'm working at the workbench, and she says, "Hey, do you have a shop rag I could use, a clean one? I'm out of dust rags. I need something in the house." So I just reach over to what I think is the clean pile, but grab one instead out of the dirty pile and toss it to her. And she does this. Ooh! Now, when a wife does ooh, it's never good. I mean, the thing I tossed her was filthy. And she said, "Never mind, I'll use paper towels." Too late. Blew the shot. Listen to what Scripture says about our good deeds. We're all infected and impure with sin. When we display our righteous deeds, they are nothing but filthy rags. My best is used. My best is dirty and greasy and oily. My best is filthy compared to God's perfection. So good person, I'm not good enough. Good things, they're not good enough. How about this last one, which is really popular right now? All paths go to heaven. Now, everybody look this way. We do want to accept all people as totally equal because we are. We are. But to decide that everybody's belief, right or wrong, is going to turn out right, I can believe all day long that I'm not overweight. The reality is I'm overweight. Me changing my belief does not change my reality. I can believe all day long that I am handsome and good looking. Doesn't make me so. And I can believe all day long that every path goes to heaven in belief. But listen to what Jesus said. "I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me." Now, when I've shared that with some of my don't know Christ yet friends, they say, "Dude, if you really believe that, you're pretty narrow-minded." And I've said, actually, I think Jesus is the one who said that, and I believe he's amazingly open about it because he's telling everybody where the door is. Narrow-minded is, I know where the door is, but I ain't telling you. Wide open is, you want to go to heaven, here it is. And while I would respect every person's right to believe in whatever they choose to believe, biblically, it's about Jesus. So if I'm trusting being a good person, whoo, I'm in trouble. If I'm trusting my good deeds, I'm in more trouble. If I'm trusted just because I have a general belief in something, I'm okay. Those are wishful thinking. How do I move from wishful thinking about salvation to absolutely faithful expectation. Would you write this in? Who is our hope for heaven? We've got to answer that question. Who is our hope for heaven? I want to read several verses, and I'm just going to read them out over the church today. And I want you to just reflect on them. Just hear them in your heart. Because God literally says 100+ times, who is our hope for salvation? He's crystal clear about it. Listen to his words to us. His name will be the hope of all the world. Put your hope in the Lord, for with the Lord is unfailing love, and with him is full redemption. Be joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. If you want a 10-word mission statement for your life, that's a great verse. Joyful in hope, patient in affliction, faithful in prayer. Faith is the assurance of things we hope for. That's faithful expectation. The evidence of things we cannot see. Why can I be confident in my salvation? Because the Lord is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. I trust in your unfailing love, O Lord. My heart rejoices in your salvation. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Truly my soul finds rest in God. My salvation comes from him. Surely God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord himself is my strength and my defense and my salvation. For I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes. First to the Jew, then to the Gentile. I'd like to ask a question that I really want you to reflect on. Who are you trusting for your salvation? If you're trusting in being a good person, it means you're trusting in yourself to qualify for heaven. Wow. I don't trust me. Not for that. If you're trusting in doing good things, that means you're trusting in your deeds to get you into heaven. Mine are not that impressive. I'm trusting that all belief, regardless of what it's in, works. Not according to Jesus. Who are you trusting for your salvation? The band's going to play in a minute. And we're going to have a response time that works like this. There'll be people down front. If you'd like to pray or talk with somebody, you can come for yourself. If you've got a friend or a family member that you're worried about what they're trusting for salvation, you can come and pray with that person for them. What are you putting your hope in? I left the house about 7:15 this morning, but before I left, a 1-year-old, very cute granddaughter named Nori pointed at the TV and told me she wanted to watch Paw Patrol and crawled up in my lap. I'm hopeful the same thing will happen tonight, because she's learned if she does it at bedtime, she can stay up a little bit later. At the end of my life, my trust and my hope is that I'll be able to crawl up into the lap of my Heavenly Father. My salvation is in him, not in me.